We don't know. We're just gonna play with this and see what happens. All right. Well, welcome everybody back to
Better.
Mimansa. So it's been, gosh, it's been several months since I've been on here. Um, Definitely not on Facebook for a long time, and I've been doing a few Instagram posts, kind of changing my identity to coming back to authenticity. And so arriving here, in this space, going live with this because it's time and it's time to really just step into my soul's purpose. And so I'm really excited today to share with you a guest that I have wanted to speak with and bring light to a lot of the conversations that some of you have heard over the years. But now I want to introduce you to an author, a friend and an author, and she's the author of this beautiful book that really caught my attention. Her name is Monica Kapoor, and not only is she a beautiful writer, but she's also a spiritual being that has huge insights to share with all of us about relationship. And this book really caught my attention because it's two hands coming together, and the title is A Taste of Heaven, An Awakening to Divine Love. And so Monica and I met at a Vedanta course, of course. We're learning about the Vedas, we're learning about just spirituality, and we're about the same age and kind of the same place in our lives. But coming at this point today, this is a very spontaneous moment for us to be having this conversation. This was not planned. It was really, I feel, divine energy coming through, which is why it's been so chaotic, trying to get on live and figure out how we're going to do this. But we're feeling this desire to share this message right now that is really coming through from spirit. Today's the full moon, and in October it's the full moon in Aries. I'm personally in Aries, and so I'm feeling very. You are as well. Oh my gosh! So here we are. That's what it is, and we're both feeling very activated to share our truth and share our Shakti. So here we are, speaking from our womb, speaking the truth. So just welcome, Monica. It's so good to have you finally share this message online. Yeah, just share with others about yourself. Let people know about you and your background.
So I, um, so
Can
I,
you come a little closer, louder?
yeah. Okay. Is that better? Is that better?
A
Can you
little
hear me
bit
better?
better. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So
a little louder. I can't really hear you
you,
too
you
well.
can't hear me, huh?
No,
Okay. All right. How about now?
much better.
Much better? Okay. All right. So yeah, about me. So I have two published books. I self-published those books. My first book is as Nima mentioned, it's an awakening to divine love. That's how my spiritual journey started. I had a glimpse of the divine in my husband on Mahashivratri, which completely changed my life. It was just a glimpse in our sense of time. And then it actually happened again a couple months later, and it was a few hours in our sense of time. But I was in a very like I was in a timeless state, so there was no time in that experience in that dimension. So yeah, so that's when my spiritual journey started, and I knew I had to come out of the spiritual closet eventually. So here I am,
Yeah, it's so
and that
good to meet you
and
in
that's
this
hard,
space.
right? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot there is judgment, right? And
Hmm.
we talked about judgment, Mima and I, this morning. And a good friend of mine last week said, judgment is the first thing we need to drop before we enter a spiritual world, right? Before we enter the spiritual world. And that's what my current book that I'm working on now. It's about non-duality and how spirituality is beyond duality. So there's no good, there's no bad, there's no right, there's no wrong. But aren't we doing that all day? Like we're judging everything and everyone, and including ourselves as with those opposites. So that's what my current book is about. That would be my third book, and and in that I talk about masculine and feminine energies and how each of us we embody masculine and feminine energies, right? Just like the Shiva Shakti, like write down, right? The left side is Shakti and this is Shiva. So, and yet we look outside of ourselves for completion, right? We look for, whether it's, typically it's very common in a partner. Like it's like we feel like someone outside of ourselves will complete us. Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
We are whole, we are complete within ourselves. We are the cake, they are the icing, right? They're the icing on the cake, but we're the cake, right?
Right.
And that's my message with my third book.
Mm.
Because for me personally, I just currently, just within the past few weeks, because that's when I started this book came to be. The portal was open,
Mm.
floodgates are pouring in.
Yes.
So I've been on this journey of writing. So I've been embracing the masculine energies, within me, which I've neglected for years. And I just feel so empowered, and I feel so on top of the world. I feel like I'm just coming alive, and
Yeah.
I want everyone to feel like this. This is like my wish for everyone to
Mm.
feel the way I feel every day, every single moment.
Hmm.
I just love this. So yeah, so going back to relationships, many of us think that we will find that completion in someone else, but really we are whole, full, and complete.
Yes.
And how I want to tie in my second book is that my second book is called From Fear to Love, A Shift in Perception. And it's based on the principles of A Course in Miracles. I don't know, Mima, if you're familiar with A Course in Miracles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary Wellington.
So I studied that for 2 years. It's a lesson a day. There's 365 lessons. So I study that religiously, like a Bible, for 2 years. So that my second book is based on that. So it's all about it's mind training, shifting our thoughts, and how this connects with, and there's a piece in there about special and holy relationships.
Mm.
And so, when we, so special relationships are when we come from a place of lack, we come from a place of neediness where we want to, receive something from another in order to feel complete, right? So we're coming from that place, which is actually like that's a turn off, right? Like when we meet people, like it doesn't just, like
The
in
neediness.
relationships, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It
The
is. Like I
neediness is the
find it
turn
is,
off. Yes.
right? It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's interesting because I actually met someone at I was at an event over the weekend, at the Volley event, and I was selling my books, and I met this wonderful gentleman, and he's looking for a partner. So if there's any single ladies out there, maybe
We're going to turn
wonder.
this into a matchmaking,
Why not,
webinar.
right? Why not? Spiritual matchmaking. And then I said to him, and I said, what you have to lose is that neediness. And I said, you're just like the way you're talking. I can feel that you're coming from a place of need. Yes, you want a partner. That a lot of people want to have a partner, right? But you have to come from a place of wholeness,
Yeah.
fullness, and completion within yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's the holy relationship, right?
Hmm.
Holy relationship is when two people come together. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be, mother-daughter. It could be sisters, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. So it's when two people come together and they already feel whole, full, and complete. And then you're in a place of extension, you're in a place of expansion, and it is magical,
Yeah.
right? Like we all deserve holy relationships.
Mm.
And I have to say, like at the beginning of our relationship, like with my husband and I, it was a special relationship. Like I was coming from a place of
Special.
need. Yeah, special. I was coming from a place of lack, right? I
Yeah.
was coming from a place of neediness. You know, um, and then until I had the glimpse of Lord Shiva on Mahashivratri, and then the void was filled, and I was just it just changed. It transformed our relationship. Our
Mm.
relationship at that point transformed from special to holy, and then now,
Wow.
and then we entered a whole, yeah. Now we're
Yeah,
in a
I
holy
mean
relationship.
that's what attracted me to you and to this book was this concept of divine union,
Yeah,
holy relationship.
yeah,
But now we're connecting in such a beautiful space because, I'll be honest, like I was one of these needy people, right? Like
yeah,
wanting to find my other half, wanting to find my mirror or my um what do I call it? Like my soulmate, right?
Yes.
And I did, I did along the way. There we all have so many soulmates, right? We all have so many different relationships that we have, friendships, family relationships, partners.
Hmm.
But, for those of us who are seeking that one, it's really interesting because you have to, like you said, like really be a mirror for yourself and see, is this coming from a place of lack or neediness, which is really a form of lack, or is
Yes.
it coming from a place of abundance?
Right.
And that's what I've arrived to personally is that as I have done my own inner work and really resourced myself,
Hmm.
I am overflowing with love, overflowing with this abundant energy to be able to share it with people without feeling depleted when I share it. And as you kind of build yourself to that point, doing your inner work, there is no lack, no
Exactly.
lack, because
And
it's
you
an abundance of love.
and you nailed it, like, without feeling depleted. So in A Course in Miracles, so there's a one of the teachings, one of the lessons is, as we give, we receive,
Mm,
right? And this is how I'm feeling too. This is how I've been feeling over the past few weeks, especially as I'm embracing the masculine energies within me, because I don't feel depleted.
mhm,
So as I give, whereas in the past I did,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
So that shift, because I'm feeling whole and complete
Yes,
within
right.
myself, right? So then and my relationships are they're transforming to holy relationships with everyone, with my daughters,
Mm,
with my parents, with my brothers, with my friends. I'm reconnecting with childhood friends, friends from university and high school, and everything's shifting.
mhm,
And every relationship is now holy. And as I give, I receive like
mm.
a thousandfold. So
Yeah,
I'm supercharged, right? Like I like
yeah,
I'm waking
yeah,
up, I'm doing my happy dance. Like I'm like, I have a lot of energy. And
yeah.
I also noticed that the amount of sleep that I need has significantly reduced. And
Mm,
Sadhguru talks like he talks about this a lot. Like,
mm,
I've heard him talk about this, that we don't, like, I used to sleep 8 to 10 hours and felt that I needed that, right? But
mm,
still waking up not feeling rested. And
mm.
now I'll sleep 4 hours or 6 hours or whatever. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a couple hours,
Mm.
but I'm like supercharged. I'm like, on the Tesla supercharger.
Yeah, filled up with your own love for yourself.
Yeah.
I love that. And,
Self-love. Yeah.
yeah, self-love. It's all about
Yeah.
self-love, Yeah, I've had these conversations lately a lot with women in partnership, women that are married, women with children, that are, making it work, right? That are doing whatever they can to piece together their life and hold on to it so tight, so tight.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can actually just allow, if that makes sense, allow, because when it comes down to it, we're all on our own soul's journey. That's what that, that we are each and every single one of us here to align with our own soul's purpose, our own soul journey, including your partner.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
when you come together in relationship, what I found often happens is, that's when the trauma starts, right? That's when the real stuff happens because it's like, all the stuff you've been putting away and saying, I'll deal with this someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It comes out to the surface and it shows you exactly where you need to do your work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what do? We start saying, oh, he needs to do that, or she needs to do that, or it's
Yeah.
their problem, their problem, their problem. And then we
It's all about
never,
us.
yeah, we never point that finger back in, take
100%.
responsibility.
Hundred
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you need to pause. Sometimes you need to disconnect and give each other that freedom to do the real work, to do the inner work, to have that security and safety in your relationship or
percent.
out of the relationship to be able to do your separate work and then see. I often don't want to put too much pressure on the relationship and say, oh, this is going to be the person I come back with. Because as you've
Yeah.
transformed and you've done your independent work, you may not be a match anymore. you
Yeah,
know,
no,
you
that's
may
true.
not.
Yeah,
And that
that's true.
person you thought was your soulmate is was your soulmate and you had your journey and now you're on to your
Well,
next journey.
well, our like our soulmate is actually right here.
Yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
That-
so happy to hear
That's
you say
that's
that.
that's it. Remember?
Yes.
Shiva Shakti, right?
Yes.
Yin Yang, masculine, feminine, right here.
Right
Right
there.
here. Yeah.
Yes. And finding that. So you wanted to share something that I thought was really special and
Mhm.
sensitive. And this is about um, you know, our addictions
Yeah.
and how addictions can show up when we're what I term as fragmented, fragmented in our inner being because of this, you know, it could be that you haven't connected with both sides of yourself, that you haven't
Yeah,
really, you know, united
for
all
sure.
parts of you. It
Yeah.
could be some sort of trauma history that's
Hmm.
there from generations past that's
Yeah.
showing up and is getting highlighted in its core of like what we call darkness, you know, creating this fragmentation in ourselves because we haven't accepted ourselves fully. We haven't fully aligned with our shadow self. You know, there's a lot of talk in the spiritual communities about light and
Hmm.
and lightness and you know all these things, but the shadow, the darkness is
Yeah.
also a part of this life and is a part of who
Yeah.
we are. So I'd love to
It's
hear, you know, where that what your feelings are, what your thoughts are about that.
Well, it's like the sun and the moon, right? Like you need to look at you need to look at your shadow. You need to shed light on it, right? And the thing is too, like everyone's holding up a mirror for us, right? So wherever we go, and you mentioned in a relationship, like we can get triggered and then we'll go back to traumas, but everywhere we go, a mirror is being held up for us. And sometimes, and this goes with like our likes and dislikes, right? We'll meet somebody and we'll be like, oh, I like this person. We'll meet someone else and I don't like this person, or I don't like this about this person. So what they're actually, when we say I don't like this about this person, they're actually reflecting back to us, the parts of us that we have not accepted, and the parts of us that we feel judgment, shame, guilt, all these negative emotions. um, but we are to embrace that about ourselves.
Right.
We're to embrace our shadow. We embrace the shadow of others. And remember, there's only one of us here. Everyone's doing this. We're all connected. We're all one. So you're doing it. When you meet anyone, when you meet me, when you meet your friends or relatives or anyone, everyone's holding up a mirror in front of you
Mhm.
to help you, to heal you, to make you more whole and complete. Because when you do the work, you will get there.
Right. Now, I just also want to make, you know, make it a point to say that that's not to say that you stay in a toxic situation, right? Like
Right.
that,
100%.
yeah, like so there are abusive situations, there are toxic situations, there are
Yeah.
situations where people are hurting you, that you need to, there's a different lesson there. The lesson there isn't
Yes.
necessarily to stay there and to accept. It
Hmm.
might be to learn your boundaries, to learn to speak
100%.
up, to learn to defend yourself, right? Because who knows, maybe in a past life you didn't do that. You know, you
Right.
and
Right.
your soul needed to learn this lesson. There are karmic things that show up that we don't quite know why they are the way they are, but
Hmm.
you know, to always understand that there's an inner voice. But to your point, these are mirrors, these are reflections. So in those moments, what I often advise people, and I did myself, is that this is a time for you to set your boundaries
Hmm.
and to disconnect with the trauma, with that, you know, those toxic situations that might be showing up, and do again your inner work so that you can understand how to confront these toxic relationships or situations and decide when is the end. When are you no longer going to be tolerating
Right.
the abuse or the challenges that are coming in front of you? And that's an example also of shadow work, right? Because
Yes. Yeah.
again, you know, it's there within us and so it gets reflected outside. You
Hmm.
have to sort of put up your boundaries and do that inner work of harmonization and reintegration of that shadow
Hmm.
so that when it does come out again in your environment, where the boundaries are, how to interact with it, and what feels comfortable in your space. So I just want
Yeah.
to name that, that there are certain situations that we do need to set our boundaries, but for the
Yes.
majority of the time, these are triggers that are there for us to work through, in whatever way that feels important. But you also mentioned something, when we were planning this call about, what got you on this journey in the first place? How did you arrive to discovering the divine union, the first book that you wrote,
Hmm.
and your own kind of what I felt like was you discovering your own shadow
Hmm.
as you were, understanding yourself, and then kind of how you arrived to where you are now with your third
Hmm.
book.
So yeah, so I'll answer that. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I
Yeah,
want to
no, go
rewind a
for it.
little bit because you talked about relationships and I think soul contracts you were getting to, right? Where there's karmic stuff. So I just want to talk a little bit about that because when we come back and we're come back, we've been here thousands of times, right? So when we come back in these lifetimes, right, and we have certain soul contracts, we're going to keep repeating the cycle, right? We're going to keep coming back life after life after life, and the suffering will continue. And until one of us, right? And not everyone's conscious, and not everyone will be, in the spiritual realm and understand this. But, if you're in a contract, and I had this happen to me, right? Where I was in a soul contract with someone and then I had to decide whether what I wanted to do because I definitely don't want to continue coming back in lifetimes with them. And so forgiveness is our ticket to freedom,
Mhm.
right? So until one of us forgives, we're going to keep coming back. And this and this was like again the teachings of in A Course in Miracles where it's all about love and forgiveness, right? So, and then now the energy around this person is light,
Mm.
is joyful, is loving, and I can't. I mean, it was initially it was very toxic, and very just based on that. I don't want to get into it. Like I know what happened in past lifetimes, but I don't want to get into
Yeah,
that.
sure,
To
sure.
also to respect their privacy and space. So
Yeah.
so it's just forgiveness again, and that's my second book, From Fear to Love: A Shift in Perception. I do talk about forgiveness there, and that's what sets us free. Forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others,
Mhm. Having compassion. Yeah,
compassion. Yeah.
absolutely. We're all human. We're all
Yes.
human. Yes,
We're all trying
absolutely.
to figure this out, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us more about, kind of what got you on this path.
So, I was always a seeker. Like, when I was a teenager, was really like was definitely a party animal. But I also had this side to me where, like on a Sunday, I'd just be locked in my room and I'd find books and I'd read books, just about life, like what is life? What is death? Why are we here? What does this all mean? So I had this seeker. I had the seeker within me for years before my first experience happened. I never meditated though,
Hmm.
like not in this lifetime. I never meditated. Never really felt drawn to meditate. I so yeah, and I do now. I do a practice. It's inner engineering. It's a Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya
Mhm.
with Sadhguru. So yeah, I do that. I just completed 3 years. October
Mm.
1st is when I started, and it's been life changing. It's really helped me actually. Um, it helped me get through a loss. My uncle passed away 3 years ago, and it really helped me it helped me become more stable so I could support my mother, which I really, that was just, I need to feel stable and healed and whole, right? We can't help others until we help ourselves first. So
Yes.
that just came to me like it was magically just popped up in my inbox, and I was like, and it was in my backyard. So I was like, okay, 3 minutes away, I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I did that. but prior to that, like the real first, I know some people like on their spiritual paths, it's very gradual, and and Satguru talks about this, right? It's just like very gradual, step by step. But mine was like overnight transformation, like the on Mahashivratri,
Mm.
glimpse of the divine. Like, I mean, it was it was overwhelming too, right? Like there was a lot of stuff that it was a big change. It was like it's where I feel like for my loved ones the most, because it's like, who are you and what did you do? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it was, yeah, it was
beautiful.
I'm sure it was challenging for them, but it was the most beautiful experience of my life. And I feel like, and maybe at that time I wasn't in a place to explain what was happening, because I was going through it, right?
Yeah.
But then I do through my books. So hopefully, my loved ones are reading those too.
Well, that's you leave that legacy behind for sure. One of the things that I, found really interesting that when we were chatting about before, planning to come online was,
Mhm,
like I said, let's bring light to the shadow. Um, so uh, those are on my social media know that I am not shy about anything, and I have no qualms about talking about real stuff.
yeah.
I've done a lot of plant medicine journeys myself, and I help people get to medicine and support them in trauma work. And
Mhm,
what I've found is that, this actually, translates traumas translate to physical body conditions. So, for example, thyroid disease, hormonal dysfunction,
mhm,
even cancer.
mhm,
And the other correlation that I discovered as I was learning medicine is that sexual trauma, sexual fragmentation, I call it, in the
mhm,
body can actually show up physically in ways that, even as doctors, we don't really understand and or question because of the discomfort people have in talking about these things because of the
mhm,
shame.
mhm. Yeah.
So
Oh,
that,
yeah, for sure. It's taboo, right?
taboo, the toxicity around shame.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
Guilt,
I
shame.
yeah, and I love that this idea of seeking this
Hmm.
other person, this other being that we're seeking, when you realized that you actually were just seeking yourself and seeking a part of yourself that was missing, that's when you came to that wholeness
Hmm.
to need less. And that need, if
Yeah.
you don't mind sharing, can be taboo. It can be
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
people are uncomfortable talking about. So I'll allow you
Yeah.
the space
Okay.
to share what you'd like about that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
just know that it's very much a conversation that at least those in my community are familiar with the fact that I'm very open to talking about these things.
Hmm. Hmm. So for me, so when I had that glimpse in 2008, I so within me at that, like everything, like I had like, like strong desires, strong sexual desires as well, right? That's part of our desires. We're human. But mine, I felt were like out of balance. Like they were very strong, where it was almost like a bottomless pit, right? Where it's like the more you get, the more you want. And there's no um, peace and balance and like sense of wholeness and completion, right? So, so it was, yeah. So at that moment, after having the glimpse, when I saw Shiva and the veil was lifted and I can see Shiva and Amit and he reflected back to me the the Shiva inside of me, and it was like, wow, I was looking for this my whole entire life. What I was really looking for was Shiva. What I was really looking to complete was, or to be in touch with was the masculine energies within me, right? So it was just like, and then I noticed, like, after that glimpse, days, weeks, and months, like, days and weeks months went by, and I was just like, wow, like I'm not I'm not coming from a place of like neediness. Like that's not, I mean, yeah, I still enjoyed to, be with my husband, but it was like, it wasn't like I was like, I didn't have that lack and that neediness where, um, you know, to constantly be engaged in that act. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Right.
just felt, I felt at ease. I felt peaceful, and I did pray for that. I did pray for that prior to that happening because for me it was like it was an addiction.
Sex was an addiction, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second because porn is rampant. It's everywhere. And I recently did a live with a friend about this who's a urologist, and the number of people she sees that come in and talk to her about their sexual issues, essentially inhibited by the presence of porn, um, is just astounding. It's
Yeah.
astounding how people cannot connect with
Yeah.
themselves and with partners because of this media that's available now for them to have this outlet. And what I think you're sharing is a really interesting perspective because what you're saying is that if we were to really focus on healing ourselves in our masculine and our feminine within, that
Mm-hmm.
perhaps this sex addiction would dissolve. And, say, for
100%.
example, a man who's, overly stimulating himself with
Hmm.
the feminine, images or the feminine
Yeah.
energies in that way, through media, through porn. Uh,
Right. Right.
if he were to connect with his divine feminine within, not in partnership,
Hmm.
not from the neediness aspect, but from within, could he come into his whole and complete being, sovereign being, which is really the word I love these days, is this concept of sovereignty, that we are whole and complete
Yeah. Yeah.
ourselves and not have those addictions anymore. I thought that was really insightful what you shared and
Yeah.
wanted to really express that and share that with others as well.
100%. 100%. So when a man has that addiction, it doesn't matter, woman, man, doesn't matter, right? But if, yeah, if a man has an addiction to porn, or, addiction to sex, absolutely. Getting in touch with his own feminine energies will balance him. So, it's not like he's not going to desire sex at all, but it'll just be in balance. And that's what this is. Yin yang, masculine, feminine, Shiva Shakti. What are these? Shiva Shakti, right? Symbols of balance, of union, of wholeness, the sacred union. It's a divine union.
Yes.
It's within yourself. It's within each of us. And addictions are hard. They're restless, right? Like you're not peaceful. Like I know because I lived through it, right? And it's just I just want anything for it to go for the addiction to go away, right? That peace. I don't want to be like I don't want to have to rely on something
Hmm.
outside of me to bring me ease, to bring me peace, to bring me joy. And I don't want anyone to have to do that because the whole universe is right here. Everything is right here.
Beautiful. Thank you.
God is right here, right? So,
Yes,
and the feminine masculine energies, right? Shiva Shakti. So all
exactly.
the God, all the God, all the gods and goddesses, right? From our head to our toes.
Yes, thank you. Beautiful message. Thank you for sharing with everybody your truth, your wisdom, your honesty, and your beautiful books.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, so just again, for those of you who are watching this afterwards, this is Monica Kapoor in her beautiful Taste of Heaven. And Monica is going to have a third book coming out. You don't have a title for it yet, right?
I do, but
Oh,
I'm gonna keep it. It's a secret. Like I
okay.
so I so what happens is I receive my titles first and
Mm.
then the book shows up, right? So, but this one it's very powerful. I have to say. I mean, I was like near tears when
Mhm.
I received it. So,
Yeah, yeah, and I
it's
really resonated with you, on this third concept because it really is kind of where I've arrived, through my own path, but
mhm.
arrived at the same place as your third book. And what I'd love to do is like I was saying, is go backwards and all the stuff
Yeah.
I missed, like the divine union, the return to love
Yeah.
in relationship. But where we've both landed is such a beautiful place, which is what I call, and is also in the image behind here, is equanimity
Yes.
and neutrality and this
Neutrality. Yeah.
Yeah, just understanding that it's all of it. It's light and dark, it's shadow and light,
100%.
it's white and black, it's all of it, and it's all
Yeah.
beautiful. And when we start to really accept that, like you were saying, we're mirrors, the world is a mirror for us, and
Hmm.
mimansa means reflection. So
Hmm.
we are mirrors for one another. If we start to really accept that and have love and compassion for what is within, we can
Hmm.
start to accept that we are also some version of what we're seeing in this universe, some version of the traumas that we are seeing reflected, politically on our planet is
Yeah.
within. And it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
going to be about fragmentation and fighting it and killing it, and it's about loving it. It's about having compassion for yourself. And as you have that love and compassion, even for the dark, even for the darkness,
Hmm.
especially for the darkness, you will slowly start to dissolve and create more cohesion, more integration, less fragmentation to arrive at this space that both of us are now talking about, which is equanimity, which is acceptance of all, truly loving all parts of you and all parts of those around you.
Hmm.
And thank you for sharing the message also about forgiveness and compassion, because that is a big piece of how we're all going to get there. So it's been such a pleasure. I don't know if you have any last words to share
I
with.
do. I
Yeah,
do.
please.
Yeah. So you mentioned how, the world that we live in and the world, what we see right on the news. And so everything's a reflection, right, of our thoughts. So as we heal ourselves, the world heals. And this is in A Course in Miracles, again, one of the teachings, right? As we heal ourselves, the world heals.
Yeah.
And also our thoughts about the world, right? So and I'm sure you've heard of Wayne Dyer when he was here. He's now passed on, but if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change, right? If we
Yeah.
change the way we think of things. Sorry, I'm messing up this quote. I'm gonna have to look it up. But it's all about what we like the thoughts that we have for the world, we will see that they will manifest. So this is just to how powerful, it's just to show how powerful our thoughts are.
Mhm.
And so, one by one, as we heal, as we wake up, like we are creating heaven on earth.